Welcome to I Love My Club Boy with me, your host Seamus Barry, the podcast that gives you the insight into our local games of hurling and camogie. Join us as we take a look at some of the characters around the county on I Love My Club Boy.
And only Brianna Regan. She's from Delasalle. She's currently a member of the Waterford senior hurling camogie team. She also Bri has been an SNA in St. Stephen's Primary School for the last number of years. She plays on goal. Her nickname is Bri, short for Brianna. She's also been a member of a couple of different Waterford teams over the years. And quite funnily, I just seen, I asked her for an introduction. She represented Ireland in basketball in the World Student Games in France in 2015. She's also been a member of a football team with Aaron Zone, who captured Junior Intermediate County Championships 2020. And of course, she's also a senior Munster Puck Fada winner in 2018, 2019. Quite the resume, Brianna. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, Jesus, I try to keep myself occupied anyway, keep myself going.
It certainly looks like that, let alone if you were to send in a CV, say, for example, for a job. But in terms of a sport and CV, that's a fairly packed one. And you're quite young as well, if you don't mind me asking. What age are you at the moment?
Yeah, I'm only 23. I was 16 when we won the intermediate with Waterford. Yeah, I was quite young then.
It's mad in that sense, because I suppose with the men's game, the hurling, you can't play until you're actually 18 or older. Whereas with the camogie, you can start playing adult hurling at quite a younger age. So I suppose that's why you've accomplished so much already.
Yeah, we're lucky kind of to start at a younger age, but at the game is getting so physical now, whereas like you kind of need to be wanting to like not be in the gym the whole time, but at a younger age trying to get that baseline of kind of your S&C kind of done, so you're able to play at that young age.
I suppose there is a fine line between when do you start development, if you're 14, 15, 16. I suppose there's a lot of studies out there at the moment on it. And can I ask you, do you enjoy the strength and conditioning side? Is that something, obviously you're a goalkeeper, so, being agile and you're looking at strength on your puck outs and stuff like that. Is strength and conditioning something that you personally enjoy?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy, because like it will get your kind of your shoulders strengthened for a puck out, and if someone's coming in on goal, you're well able to stand your ground. But a few years ago, I gave away a penalty and I got sent off. I was banned for 3 matches, so that's kind of the other side of it.
Jesus, it must have been pretty bad if you got 3 matches.
It looked bad than it looked now.
Yeah, I was only literally speaking to Peter Queally about this last week on episode 4. That's like a lot of times when people watch hurling or camogie, they're like, Jesus, that's scandalous what happened. And irrespective of it actually being a player, you're like, no, they barely touched her. They are barely touched them. That's not a free,
Yeah, and I was last person back as well. Kind of, she kind of leaned in to kind of get the penalty, and just kind of. It's a forwards game.
We'll pass the blame off there. I agree with you. It is a forwards game. Look, I suppose from your introduction, you're currently a member of the Waterford camogie team. How long have you played for Waterford now?
2015, since I'm 16. So how many years is that? 7.
7 years on the road.
Yeah.
Do you find, obviously, so 7 years is a long enough period. Do you find
adult?
Yeah, adult. Do you find that, we hear so much talk about player burnout nowadays between clubs and colleges and intercounty. Do you find you get a moment to breathe at all?
Not really, but like when you're in it and enjoying it, kind of, it's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, no, I agree with player burnout. You kind of have to have that fine line. But no, we're lucky to have like good management with county and club, so they have a fine line of when not to train, and kind of knowing yourself really, like as a player, like when not to train and when you need to approach management. Kind of, that's where you need to kind of step up and be the person to kind of just go about it.
I think that's a really key point, and it's something that I suppose in years gone by in all sports, not just hurling or camogie, it's always a case of, if you had an injury, play on, we need you in the next score. But I think nowadays there's much more awareness around, I suppose, player welfare in that sense, which is obviously brilliant, but it does take a bigger person or stronger person to put the hand up and say, no, I'm not 100% here now. And probably most of the times you'd almost do a disservice to the team.
Yeah, I hurt my back there last May. We were doing stuff in the gym, and kind of I probably didn't warm up properly, but I don't know what I didn't, kind of little twinge or something, But I got the MRI there a few weeks ago. Everything came back all clear, just kind of tissue damage and stuff. But even county and club management, they really looked after me. Even with the club, when we went back with the club, and we won the county semi, and we went on to the county final, and they're like, I was well able to like get physio on my back and stuff. So I was A1 then for the county final.
Did you have much downtime after you hurt your back in May?
I did for a few weeks, but kind of I went back into it then because we had the All Ireland quarter final with Waterford. So kind of it's not like I didn't really have much downtime.
Yeah, and like, is that the longest period you've been out with an injury, or have you been out longer before that?
No, that was the longest. Yeah.
Like, I'm interested to see, because anyone that knows me, I suppose personally, would know. Everyone says I've been injured most of my life, but it's only seemed to happen in later years. You know, I've had 2 knee surgeries. I've broken my shoulder, fractured, dislocated my right shoulder, literally September just gone. And I'm always interested to see how people deal with, you know, being so active and playing sport and being in a team situation, then just taken out of it.
Yeah, no, it's difficult because when I took them like a few weeks off, and I was kind of coming and going from training and then stepping out to drills and stuff, but then I really needed to kind of nip it on the bud. But yeah, no, I'm kind of just living with it now and just kind of doing a few yoga stretches, and yoga is really helping me, and I've breathing techniques as well. So
it's amazing, you know, it's little things. And like, don't take this the wrong way, you're not old in any sense. I'm a lot older, but like, I've even found now, say in the last year or so, and of course credit to Tomas Power, who has his yoga studio in 6 Crossroads. I know a couple of lads that play with Passage that have even been in with Tomas. And again, you said breathing techniques, you know, meditation, mindfulness, they make a massive difference. They're so underrated, I think, in sports in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like, I feel like you need to do that. Like, you've so much going on, like being training, going to work, and like whatever's going on in your personal life. You just sometimes, even 5 minutes throughout the day, just kind of sit down and throw on the mindfulness app and just kind of take it from there.
And like, with that, you know, like, you're going in, obviously you're involved with Watford, your own club as well, Delasalle. You're going into a big game, okay? You wake up in the morning. Talk me through it. Are you a nervous type of character? Would you be anxious, or was it just a case of just get on with
it? When I was younger, I was kind of like, oh, get on with it. But like, since I'm getting older now, I'm like, oh, I'm really nervous. But nerves are good, so I kind of thrive off them. But no, sometimes they can get in on top of me, and then I need to just refocus. Like, right, Brianna, you're in a game now. Just kind of, it's that first ball that I need to come in and just deal with it right, and then I'm fine.
That one that always settles you, I suppose, especially for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's you know, it's interesting because, as you say, when you're younger, and I always found that as well, like, you know, you'd have nerves, and nerves are a good thing, and this is always kind of mixed signals within sport. Nerves obviously means something to you, which is good. You know, it's better for you to be going out saying this is important rather than going, it doesn't matter today, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's always trying to find that positive rather than a negative, and just kind of thrive off it, as I said. But yeah, no, it's great to have like good people around you as well, just kind of pushing you on and egging you on, just kind of realizing that you're starting, so you just need to just get in the zone.
And on that, are you a positive person? Because you said people around you, you've mentioned meditation, you mentioned mindfulness. Are you a positive person in general?
I'm not really, I wasn't here like when I was younger, but yeah, kind of now I kind of have to try to have a positive outlook on life. Just kind of keep going and just everything. Yeah.
And like, you know, you say when you were younger, did you struggle with confidence, or like, you know, was it a case of you weren't very positive, or did you not enjoy your teenage years in a sense?
Well, my sister and my mother and father passed away in 26 in a house fire, so kind of just having all that like kind of just creeping in, so it's just kind of just keeping going, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and like, obviously, you know, talking about subjects like that, they are very personal, and they bring up a lot of memories, and you know, something like that can obviously cause a lot of things, but it's great to have like an outlet like sport where you can not, and don't get me wrong, no matter what loss it is, you'll never get over it in the sense you learn to kind of deal with it as you get older. But I suppose sport kind of gives you an outlet to enjoy other things and have a different perspective on life.
Oh, absolutely. And if it wasn't for Camogie, God only knows what path route I would have taken. But no, like Camogie kind of just saved me in a dark place, and I needed to just not get out, but I just needed to just have that outlook in life, and just yeah, that's really it.
So I asked you previously, were you a positive person? You were a bit unsure. I would say you're a positive person just based on that story you've just given us an insight to there. Like that's I don't want to harp on about, that's a major event that happened in your life, and you're speaking about it in a positive manner. Like,
Yeah, after look, it'll be 16 years now in June, and we came in. Myself and my two brothers came in to live with my grandparents and my aunt as well. She's very good. But yeah, no, like you kind of have to learn how to deal with it and just get on with it, and just kind of know like it did happen, but you'll obviously have bad days and good days, but kind of life doesn't stop for you, if you get me. You just kind of have to like just keep pushing on.
and it's interesting to hear you say that you moved in with your grandparents. So I was raised by my own grandmother in Passage, and there's something special about being raised by your grandparents. Obviously you can relate to it.
They're one of a kind. They're gems. They'll give you if you go to one and they'll say no if you want something, and then you go to the other, they give it to you, no bother.
You know how to play the system.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's yeah, because like obviously, and I suppose as well what you probably do have then is you have a lot of old kind of fashioned values.
Yeah, really do. Like I kind of, if kind of even looking at Grandad the way he does things, and just like I'd be listening to stories and I'm like, oh, that's different to nowadays and stuff. But even like when you're going off telling like if you go out and tell the girls, oh, this happened and Grandad told me this, and they're like, oh yeah, my nan or Grandad would tell me that as well. Just kind of having them like, kind of
A link to the
traits and
past.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's really important, and I suppose in GAA, all aspects of GAA, it's very prevalent. You might hear like my mom played for Galtier, and she played for Waterford. There's a big tradition of camogie in my family, and hurling indeed. And like my mom does be telling me about county finals or playing for Waterford, and my auntie would speak about it as well. And you get an inkling into the past of what it was like, and there'd be times where you say, geez, I would have loved to be around for that. Or
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, sure. My grandfather and my brother were up the back, and we'd always play a few games and stuff, and we'd be tackling. There was probably blood, sweat, and tears in them as well. So yeah, no,
that's
absolutely.
well, that's definitely allowed. I think that's Tommy Welch referenced it recently. His brother made his debut for Kilkenny a couple of years back, Padraig Welch, and
Yeah.
he was doing commentary on the National League, and he said there was many days I gave Padraig a baiting out in the backyard. He said, there he is nowadays. So we won't hold a grudge against that.
No.
Currently Waterford, so you're currently in league status at the moment, correct?
Yeah.
And how's that going at the moment?
Good. Now we're having, after playing 2 matches, after having 2 wins, so thankfully we're heading in the right direction.
And of course, the championship itself, championship's going to start around May, June.
I think it's the end of May. I think Munster Championship is in April sometime. I don't know. It's kind of pushed forward this year now. We'll finish at the end of July, I think, if I'm correct.
Is that kind of the same calendar as what the men's game is going down then?
I think so. Yeah.
And then with that, of course, to any of our listeners, and I've said this before, I spoke to Claude Carroll from Galtier previously, and it's something I really want to get out there, is as many people as possible to go watch the local camogie games. It's brilliant now that Bio Sport, of course, is streaming more games, so we get more access to games if we can't travel. But there's this thing of that the camogie game, in terms of speed and strength and different things, is not the same as men's. And I think they're 2 completely different sports. The skills are exactly the same, don't get me wrong. But I think more and more, not just men, but women in our local area, everyone in GA club should get out more to watch the games. Would you like to see more of a following with camogie in Waterford?
Oh, absolutely. And it will promote the game a lot more. And just when we played the county final there, I saw a lot more men and boys there than like some girls and women. But that's even promoting it as well. And I think camogie is heading in the right direction. With kind of the skills and the hand pass, and dropping the hurley, hand pass goal and dropping the hurley, that's gone. So I think camogie is heading in the right direction, and I think just the GA needs to just congregate now and just kind of bring it that one step further as well.
Exactly. I think get behind. And I'm going to ask you something, and I want your opinion on this. And like years ago, say if you're going down to the Munster final, right? Say Watford playing Cork, you'd have a minor match, or you'd have an intermediate match or whatever. There'd be a game on beforehand, and usually, depending on the time the game was on, you'd have a good enough crowd. If the GAA were to say, right, minor championship will be only played on certain days and so on and so forth, why not have a women's senior intermediate game running with the men's game the same day, a double header? You could be talking 20, 30,000 people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We played 2 years ago, I think, when Fergal and Dan were involved. We played up in Cork and Park Cleeve, and we played before the men's game. And like we got a nice enough crowd there, and then there was people coming in and they were watching the camogie as well. So it's even promoting it in that sense. It's kind of, it's getting us like more confident as well, and it's pushing us on to be better and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, it's more recognition, and like that, like you said, for example, say if someone was going down to watch the men's game and they went in a half an hour early and they seen the second half of year game, they're like, geez, I'll actually go to the next game. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, so, because some people, like, when they think of women's sport, they just don't think of like, kind of physicality and skill and all that. And I think nowadays, I think it's kind of not the same as men, but it's kind of heading in that direction. Physicality, even like the strength of like a puck of the ball is a lot more like longer than it was a few years ago.
Yeah, and I suppose like the two players I think of when you say that straight away, one is Bet Carton, like Bet has a serious strike on a ball, and then even like from a personal level, Aoife Fitzgerald, like Aoife bang a ball over from 70, 80 yards from a free, like.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Most men struggle to do that, let alone like a women in a camogie. But I agree with you. The more the kind of, with the hand pass rule gone now, and also the drop in the hurley, it kind of just cleans the game up. It makes it faster. And also then, because you can't hand pass, you obviously, probably you won't be too happy, but finishers are going to have to get better. They're going to have to be cuter, smarter. You can't just hand pass the ball anymore. You're going to have to finish properly.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it doesn't make me look like a clown as well when if a hand pass ball goes in the back of the net. But yeah, no, I agree with you.
There's not, like, as a goalkeeper, I played on goal underage a bit, and my uncle would have played on goal for Waterford. And I suppose anyone in my family is kind of stuck on goal because he played on goal. But if someone hand passes the ball, I find the same if someone kicks it. There's not a lot you can do because it could go absolutely anywhere.
That's it. All you can do is try and go out and make yourself as big as you possibly can, and just try take him down in a, like, not a fouling sense, but in a nice way.
I didn't want to reference your red card. We'll leave that subject off. The point I made earlier about the World Student Games in France 2015, was that a school level?
Yeah, it was school. Yeah, I played with basketball Wildcats as well. So, but I representing Ireland was with school.
And like, what was that like, putting on the green jersey or the green bib going out and representing Ireland?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Just not many people get to do that. Like, and you're representing your school as well, and on an international stage. So it was great experience.
I'll ask you one question. Putting on that jersey, representing your country, or Croke Park, which one?
Croke Park.
Yeah,
Croke Park.
I had a feeling you'd say that. I ask a lot of people that come on the podcast. Obviously, we're in season 1 and we're in the early stages of it. What is it like running out on Croke Park?
Phenomenal. I did it twice when we were with Delasalle under 14 in Fela, and then with Waterford 2015. It's like, it just, that feeling just never gets old. The butterflies in your stomach, and just, it's phenomenal. Like, words can't kind of explain running out onto the pitch. Like, it's a dream.
And with that, is when you get to Croke Park, obviously with the women's team has been very successful in the last number of years, the Watford camogie. And when you get there, is it a sense that you've made it when you're at Croke Park? Like, that's the pinnacle of the GAA. Now, I would argue Thurles is better than Croke Park, but that's just more traditionalist thing. But like, when you get to Croke Park and you're playing, and do you feel yourself, I'm here, I'm on the big stage, I've made it?
Yeah, it's not so much like we've made it. It's kind of like we're here now. We're here on merit, if you get me. But when you cross that white line, that's when you kind of have to just set down your marker and make sure that you get over the line, and that's when you made it. Yeah.
And what's a typical? So say we're going into a match this Saturday, and like, what's your routine? Do you get up early? Do you stay in bed for a while? What do you eat? Do you stretch? Well, what's an insight into Brianna's pre-match routine?
Um, Sometimes I'd get up early now, and lots of people don't know this, but I'd usually go to the grave and just kind of chill out and just kind of talk to them. But usually that's on a good day. On a bad day, I'd probably just get up and just kind of listen to a few music and potter around. I'd have my gear bag ready the night before and just kind of just chill out and have my porridge.
So I was going to say, so porridge.
Yeah.
In the porridge, do you do the overnight oats craze at the moment? No.
Beck Hartner gave me a lovely recipe. It's lovely. Overnight oats, but no, I don't do overnight oats on match days. I just do porridge and a few berries and a little square dark chocolate.
And would you be in the kitchen a lot now? Would you do a lot of food prep? Obviously, given you're very active, you're playing for Watford. Would you be prevalent in the kitchen, or are you someone who's just like, no, I'd rather not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I live in the kitchen. When my grandmother would be giving out to me, she'd always like, "Wash it. Don't forget to wash up now."
What's your go-to dish?
Oh, I love turkey burgers, rice and broccoli. Unreal. Yeah.
Like, straight away, I'm thinking that is the most blandest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, do you have any? No, turkey burgers are amazing. I agree with you.
Unreal.
Gorgeous. Do you have any sauce with it? No.
No, not really. I'm not a sort of really sauce person, but no, I'm a bland person.
Hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everyone's entitled to enjoy what they enjoy. Yeah, no, turkey burgers have taken off the last couple of years. I absolutely love them as well. They're gorgeous. Who would have thought it? You're on a podcast talking about hurling and mental health, and here we are discussing turkey burgers.
Turkey burgers, yeah.
That's the joys of I Love My Club By. It's just this. We're looking to get an insight into, because especially with the female players, we don't, not that there's not a profile, but I spoke to you off air. I find it very hard to get female guests to come on, and I'm trying to balance it out. I've had 2 males so far, and you're obviously my second female. I'm hoping to have Niamh Rocket for the next one, but why do you think it is that, not that obviously they don't want to come on this show, but just in general, that is it more of a case they just want to put their head down and play the game? Whereas the men's side, it seems to be very much that they all do have a profile and they're very involved in social media and kind of podcasting and interviews.
That's kind of a tough question now. I think it's down to kind of confidence and just kind of talking out there and just kind of letting yourself flow. Because some girls kind of are just immune to just chatting and just keep on talking and never stop. But yeah, no, it's probably down to the confidence, just having that like skill, kind of just to be able to talk and just not so much skill, but just being able to just kind of hold a conversation and just kind of keep going with it.
Natural ability, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, for me, the more we get female guests on, and the more we speak about camogie in the same light as hurling, the more we're going to generate more and more publicity about it. We get more people to games and awareness. And like, I want to thank you for coming on the show, of course, because it's just going to promote the game. But the question I'll ask you is, I would like to think there might be a little boy or a little girl that be listening to these podcasts and they say, oh, that's Peter Queally, or that's Shawnee Barry, that's Brianna Regan, or this is Niamh Rocket. I want to be them and I'm older. Did you ever want to be, was it always camogie you wanted to do, or how did that happen?
Yeah, always camogie. I've been brought up playing hurling out the back, or whatever you want to call it, and just kind of been brought up kind of in a hurling family. Yep. So.
And like, was there anyone, would you have watched, I suppose that's another topic, was women's camogie prevalent when you were young, or would you more just watch hurling?
More so hurling, but when I got older, probably camogie. I kind of looked up to Brenda Cummins and Mag Starcy, who plays for Wexford. She's mad. But yeah, no, they're the two that I used to look up to.
I gave a question. I put a question to Shawnee Barry, who's obviously in the same club as you, Goalkeepers Club. Are all goalkeepers mad?
Yeah, you'd have to be. I don't come across as mad, but when I'm on the goal, I'm a different kettle of fish.
You don't. You're quite reserved, and that's why I asked you, are all goalkeepers mad? Because, like, when I done the interview with Shawnee knows this. Shawnee couldn't sit still. He was bouncing around the place. And I know quite a few goalkeepers. Of course, I've referenced my own clubmate Eddie Lynch before. You know, Eddie's mad as a hatter, so he's a farmer. He has to be. But like you're very reserved, and I would say probably, are you someone who not opens up necessarily easily, but would you be quite reserved in general?
Yeah, I kind of sometimes I just kind of keep to myself. If I have a thought and I don't think it's right to say, I'll hold back and not say it. Um, but yeah, no, I just if I know I'm not if I know I need to say something, I'll put myself out there and say it.
Yeah. I think there's a famous quote now. I can't remember off the top of my head. It is, unless you have something good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
It's a good mantra to live by. This year with Delasalle, what's the goal? What would be success for Delasalle this year?
I suppose getting back to the county final and just kind of regrouping and focusing on trying to get back to knockout stages.
And I watched the game. I watched the final last year. Very close. It was very, very thrilling game. You know, it kind of came right down to it at the end. Could have went either way. I suppose you have to give credit to Galtier over the last couple of years. We see it in the men's game. You know, Ballygunner have won 8 in a row. Galtier now, I think it's 3 or 4 county-wise in a row. You know, obviously they have a target on their back. You want to knock them off it. I think, and there's no disrespect to any clubs, including Delasalle over the last couple of years, I think Galtier were a little bit ahead, but I think they've definitely been reeled in now. I think the Waterford Championship is really competitive at the moment. And I think this year, I'd say probably looking at from the outset, it is yourselves and Galtier who would go down as the favourites from the outset. Do you feel that way? Do you feel as if you are in a position where you can kick on now and capture a county title?
Like as you said, their Galtier are after winning 4 county titles in a row. But they're after been dominant now the last few years, and they have the players for it, and they're a phenomenal side. But look, we need to just try get refocused again, which is hard because I'm after watching that county final back about 20 times, see what went right and what went wrong, and it took me ages now to get over it. I won't lie, genuinely a good 2 months. It just wouldn't settle with me. But yeah, no, I just hope now that we just kind of regroup and refocus and getting back to the county final. That's my aim anyway, and I'm sure it's the girls' aim as well.
Do you take it personally? You said it wouldn't sit with you for 2 months. Like, I know, say when I was playing and stuff, and I used to take frees, and if I miss a free, I'd let it. Say if you got bet by a point, or you know we drew a match and we needed to win, I'd let it get to me ahead or get to me badly. With your position, you're under a microscope all the time, a telescope, however you want to look at it. Do you personally put yourself down after a game, or do you try to move on with it as quickly as possible?
It depends on kind of what situation it is. Like if you leave a goal in and it costs you the game, for a puck out went wrong, you can kind of fix it. But yeah, no, I'd kind of dwell on it now for a while. It's because we were so close, but yet so far.
I give yourself a bit of a voice, and not that you need it, and I give any other sports person, any youngster listening, it's a great piece of advice I got years ago from a manager from Kilkenny, and he said to me, one action never determines the outcome of a game.
Yeah, it's very true. I've heard that before. Yeah,
like, you know, people say, oh, you know, Brianna got a point in the last minute to win the county final. There was 17 scores before that point. That point is not the
winning of the game. Yeah.
I think especially in your position, that's a very good piece of advice, because if you let in a goal and you get bet by 3 points, did you miss 6 points in the first half? Did you miss 2 goals yourself? There's all these things, you know. Sometimes we just have no control over it, and I'd say that's probably the most disheartening thing. I know personally for me it is when you probably feel you've tried everything and it just doesn't go your way.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of have to, like, if you leave in a goal, just kind of, I've learned now to just reset and refocus and just kind of try good puck out and get on with it and just forget about it. It's all about the next ball.
Yeah. I suppose it's the biggest mantra in hurling, next ball.
Yeah.
There is a few different things that obviously I'm trying to raise awareness with, and we've touched a little bit about mental health. You said there like that you would try get on with it and move on. Within your own setup, because obviously you're an inter-county player and you have your club scene as well, do you think there's enough done for player welfare within Camogie? Because obviously I would be aware of what goes on the men's side, being a player myself, but is there a lot being done in terms of the women's side?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure. The GA and WGPA are amalgamated now, so if you need anything, you just go to them. Especially with mental health, they're phenomenal. Because you'd always get an email to see, checking in, see how you are, and just they're top notch. Yeah.
And what about the club scene? Because this is something I want to highlight. I'm well aware of what goes on in inter-county scene, and the resources are there, but do you feel as if nearly every club should have a player welfare officer? And I know some clubs do, and that's more to do with insurance and claims and stuff like that, but maybe even a welfare officer for like the Southeast, as in they would cover Waterford, for mental health. And because look, the last 2 years have been horrible for everyone, and you know, everyone is dealing with their own personal life as well as COVID and work, money issues, you know, house, stuff like that. Do you think there should be more done in the club, but better resources available?
Yeah, that's it. I think at club level, where like I know at Delasalle, like if you could go to anyone in the club and they'd get up and do it for you, and like Joey Carton, Conor O'Toole, John Milan, and Derek Healy, like we had them this year, and to just do everything for you, trying to be prepared and get everything right. And if you need anything, and just you'd get it done. Like I met Joey for a coffee before the county semi-final, and just he was kind of just setting me straight, like just keep focused and just keep going, that everything will be all right with my back, and I just kind of believed him, and I took it all in, and thankfully we got to the county final in the end.
It must be great, obviously, like Joey and both John, they're given their profiles. Like it must be great for them to be instilling confidence in you. It must give you a massive boost.
Oh yeah, I know Joey since I'm about been going back a long way. No, Joey's a good gem, and so is John. But yeah, no, Joey's done a lot for me, and so have like with Beth as well. We grew up together, so I've been more in Joey's house than I have my own. But no, yeah, no.
Have you made a lot of friendships within camogie sport in general?
Oh, absolutely. Like I just have made loads of friends, and most of them are my close friends. But yeah, no, they're friends for life.
What does the future hold for Brianna? Is it an All Ireland final? Is it a county championship with Delasalle, a club All Ireland? Maybe what's in the pipeline? What are the dreams?
Those three that you said there.
all in that order next year, please.
Imagine. Yeah, no, I'd love to get county final with county title with Delasalle, and one with Watford, and I'd love Club All Ireland as well. So there's the three.
You're not asking for much, are you?
No, I'll ask county title with Delasalle. That's all I want.
Yeah, it always comes back to club. You know, we were fortunate enough to win one in my time with my own club, and they're unbelievable. The lead up to it and securing it, and I suppose the party and the shenanigans that go on after, and you never forget it. There's and sometimes I heard Peter Creeley said last episode, and it only kind of resonates now, I suppose, that sometimes, say if you're winning over and over, not over and over, but you win a couple of times. Sometimes it's about the quarterfinal or the semi-final where maybe you weren't playing your best and you pull it out of the hat, you get a last-minute goal that you get more euphoria. So as I was saying, Brianna, like, have you ever been in a situation where you've got nearly more of a euphoric win where you're maybe down by a point and you get a goal in the last minute, like a quarter-final or semi-final?
Yeah, a few years ago in Delasalle, when we got to the first quarter final of county final, it's just kind of, we were very young and just kind of, we were just coming onto the scene, and we weren't expecting, well, we like kind of weren't half expecting to get over, like to get to a county final. That was our aim. But we went out, we played as a team, and that's one of the best games I've ever played. I think it was against Lismore. I think everything just came together, and just that was probably our county final, if you get me, rather than like the county final itself.
Of course, yeah, and they are special when everything just comes together. There's no feeling at the time, especially with your club. You know, it is very important. Playing inter-county, and it's such a high level, and it's a privilege to play inter-county. Not a lot of players get to do it. but there's just something special about your club, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Sure, you'll start and finish with your club. Like it's always going to be there, and it's just the special bond that you have within your club and within the whole community is just it's phenomenal.
And would there be a massive, I suppose, is there a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on in Delasalle? Like, would you have characters that people wouldn't maybe know that do a lot for the club?
Oh, I'm sure there's a few in every club, but yeah, no, we'd have a right few up in Delasalle now, to be honest. But they do a lot, yeah.
It's amazing when you think of it. I know people say there is money in GAA, but look, we don't get paid. So we're both aware of that, and especially all the volunteer hours that go in. That it's such a community effort that goes in to get the jerseys washed, to get a team out on the pitch, to get them travel there, get water, get a meal after. There's so much work that is involved in getting the team out on the pitch.
Oh, absolutely. And I think kind of the men's side up in Delasalle are they're just phenomenal. They backed Camogie the whole time, and just like if we need the pitch, they'll give it to us or anything like that. We're kind of just we're a club, if you get me. We're not like divided, which is great, because like you see in some clubs that's not the case. But like with Delasalle, it's kind of we're a unit as such. They're just phenomenal up there. Yeah,
it's the way it should be, in fairness.
Yeah.
If there's two teams, within a club, like ourselves, it's a bit of a different. We've Galtier, so it's Ballygunner and Passage in the men's side.
Yeah,
I don't think anytime soon that all three clubs are going to be like that as one unit, unfortunately.
I don't think so either.
No. Look, so far, I never met you before we done this interview today, and just speaking to your credit to your club and your family and your grandparents, and obviously you've dealt with a lot, and you're still very young. I know you said you're getting on in years, but you're not. You're still very young, and you've said hopefully you'll win a county title with Delasalle and go on respectively with Watford and win All Irelands. And I really hope you do. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully, like I said, we'll try to get as many people as possible this year out to the games, because they're brilliant games to watch. I've been at a lot of them over the last couple of months. I even went to Galtier's Munster final. I went to their semi-final. They're brilliant games to watch, and the more and more people to get out, the better for the sport. And would you have had to say to people that are listening now that probably have never been to a camogie game, like what would you say to them in order to, not to persuade them, but from a player's point of view?
You're putting me on the spot here now. No, I just say you don't know until you go. It's kind of just the skill and the physique of players now. Nowadays it's just different from years ago. But yeah, no, I'd recommend going out to watch a game. It's probably not persuasive enough, but no, I'd say just.
I think if anyone's listening to this interview and after listening to you for the last 30-40 minutes, I think you're straight to the point, and that's something I've got from you just from chatting to you. You get straight to the point, and that's it. So if someone's listened to the last 30 minutes and you say go watch it, I think they'll take it just to go watch it at face value. Well, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I said your credit to your family, your club, given everything you've gone through over the last couple of years. You still have a positive outlook on life, and you've got a wise head on young shoulders, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thanks a million, Seamus.
Wherever you're listening, whether it be Ballyduff or Ballygunner, Passage or Portlaw, Dungarvan or Dunhill, tune in to I Love My Club Boy, the podcast that brings you closer to camogie and hurling in the Waterford club scene. Don't forget, hurling is our passion.